Glossary. She knows what really happened. Watch this.
To everyone about the future under our present president. He said he would prosecute his political enemies. He would cut Medicaid, Medicare. He would ignore court orders. He would alienate our allies. He would give massive tax cuts to the rich. And I know you're not here to say I told you so. But would you like to?
Hold on a second.
Let me just say this. You are correct that I did predict a lot of it. But Stephen, what I did not predict was the capitulation. I didn't predict that. I didn't
roll over for this president.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. And perhaps it's naive of me, someone who
Okay, sorry. I was listening to this Kamala interview. Okay. All right, y'all. Where's Alicia? We'll wait till Alicia gets here. Thank you. Thank you for coming back. It's so, there's like, I think it's old. I don't know. I saved it. I'll send it to you. I saved the video so I could watch the full thing later. I'll send it to you. But it was an interview with Kamala, and it was obviously after the election. It sounded like it was pretty recent, but I don't know. I don't know when exactly it was. So, where the frick did Alicia go? Alicia? I wonder why it wouldn't let me see your chat earlier. That's really weird. All of these stupid social media platforms are so glitchy. You'd think they have enough money they could figure it out. I just didn't know if he was taken directly off the air. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't look into that. So you have to guess. What? So you have to guess what? This is the F out of me. I know. Who and how many are in your chat? I mean, I can see it now. I can see it now. It's just that last one I couldn't see for some reason. And then I went and I like blocked all of the chat and then unblocked it. And then I could see it. But for some reason it was blocked. Even though it said it was like open to all comments. I don't know why. It was so weird. Yeah, I know. It's just the media's falling apart. Okay, well, I'm gonna get started. I don't know where Alicia is, but okay. So this is the well, I'll just start reading the intro. The terms and definitions below are always evolving and changing and often mean different things to different people. They are provided below as a starting point for a discussion and understanding. This glossary has been collectively built and created by the staff members of the LGBTQIA Resource Center since the early 2000s. There's Alicia. Okay. These are not universal definitions. The glossary is provided to help give others a more thorough but not entirely comprehensive understanding of the significance of these terms. You may even consider asking someone what they mean when they use a term, especially when they use it to describe their identity. Ultimately, it is most important that each individual define themselves for themselves and therefore also define a term for themselves. quote, if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive, unquote, Audre Lorde. This glossary contains terms such as ableism and disability that may not be considered directly related to identities of sexuality or gender. These terms are important to acknowledge as part of our mission to challenge all forms of oppression that affect the multiple intersectional identities held by members of our community. Okay. Yeah, that would be so hard. That would suck. Because, like, there's this top fans button, and I can see all three of you. But that doesn't tell me if you're, like, currently here or not. So what's the one that tells me if you're currently here? I don't know. That I can't see. But at least I can see the chat, and I can at least see who, like, was here. So I don't know if that if that changes when people come and go. I'm not sure. Okay. Something got cut off. Anyways. Okay. Ableism. The pervasive system of discrimination and exclusion that oppresses people who are disabled, including differences in mental, cognitive, emotional, and or physical abilities through attitudes, actions, or institutional policies. Ageism. The pervasive system of prejudice and discrimination that marginalizes people based on their age. This can be perpetuated through stereotypes of youthfulness versus life at an older age, and through oppressive policies that subordinate and exclude older folks. Ageism can impact different age groups besides older folks, such as children who are stereotyped as being unable to make big decisions. Actually, Alicia, we were talking about this the other day when we were doing the fundraising. I'm wondering, this was just kind of like, I'm curious if that's what your boss is doing to you. Because, like, obviously you're not old. Because if you're old, that means I'm old, and I'm not fucking old. So you're not old. We're still just babies. But when you were talking about how what she was doing with the new hires, I was like, is that what she's doing? Is she being ageist? You know what I mean? In the chat? Yeah. And then I felt bad for talking about that information without you there, without your permission, but I kind of figured you probably wouldn't care, but if you do, I apologize. But I was just trying to I just was like, I think her fucking boss is being ageist because she hired these younger folks and they're getting all the fucking hours. And it's like, yes, and I'm old at my studio, 51. I'm the oldest. Yeah. And I mean, again, that's not old, but unfortunately in some industries, age is looked at more closely, and I do not care. I know, but I apologize. I try to be better about that. So anyways, just a thought. I mean, I know it would probably cause you more harm than good to fucking do anything about it. She is all about the young skinny blondes. Fuck. I mean, that makes sense since, because didn't you say she was right leaning? Anyways. Okay. Allosexism, the pervasive system of discrimination and exclusion that oppresses asexual people built out of the assumption that everyone does and should experience sexual attraction. See, that's a word I've never heard of before. Allistic, an adjective used to describe a person who is not autistic and is often used to emphasize the privilege of people who are not on the autism spectrum. Interesting. I hate to hear that. Yeah. Oh, it will be said in my exit meeting. Good. Good. Allyship. The action of working to end oppression through support of and as an advocate with and for a group other than one's own. Androgen. A person with a gender that is both masculine and feminine, or in between masculine and feminine. Aromatic. A romantic orientation generally characterized by not feeling romantic attraction or a desire for romance. Aromantic people can be satisfied by friendship and other non-romantic relationships. Many aromantic people also identify with a sexual orientation such as asexual, bisexual, etc. What's the term again for those who have sexual attraction? For those that do have it? I don't know. Hopefully we get to that. I don't know. For those who have that actually have sexual attraction, I don't know what that's called. Maybe we'll get there. Okay. Oh, that don't. That's actually, I think that's this one, asexual. Okay, so allosexual is a sexual orientation generally characterized by feeling sexual attraction or a desire for a partnered sexuality. I skipped that one on accident. So asexual is a broad spectrum of sexual orientations generally characterized by feeling varying degrees of sexual attraction or a desires for partnered sexuality. Asexuality is distinct from celibacy, which is the deliberate abstention from sexual activity despite sexual desire. Some asexual people do have sex and do experience varying levels of sexual attraction. There are many diverse ways of being asexual. A person who does not experience sexual attraction can experience other forms of attraction, such as a romantic attraction, as physical attraction and emotional attraction are separate aspects of a person's identity. These may or may not correlate with each other. For instance, some people are physically and romantically attracted to women. However, others might be physically attracted to all genders and only emotionally attracted to men. So I think that falls into the category of asexual. People that don't have sexual attraction, I think that falls into the asexual category, but also know that asexual can be a spectrum. Yeah. Okay, autism, a neurological variation encompassing a wide range of presentations and experiences. Common characteristics of autism include repetitive behavior and differences in social interaction, interpersonal, I think I skipped a page. Where's the rest of that definition? Okay, a sentence got cut off. I'm sorry. It looks like that's the only one. Let's look up the definition. Yeah, because the following page just says, for this glossary, we use identity first language instead of person first language for describing autistic people, because for some people, their disability is an important part of who they are. This practice comes from the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. However, we acknowledge that language and how people describe their identities can vary from each person and change over time. So I think it just got cut off. So we'll look up the definition. Okay, now keep in mind this is coming from Wikipedia, so it may not be looking through the lens of the LGBTQIA community. So just know that. Autism, also known as autism spectrum disorder, is a neurodevelopmental condition characterized by differences or difficulties in social communication and interaction, a preference for predictability and routine, sensory processing differences. I think that's what I fucking have. And focused interest in repetitive behaviors. So, okay. Next, BDSM. See, I would have totally gotten bananaed from TikTok. BDSM, bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism. BDSM refers to a wide spectrum of activities and forms of interpersonal relationships. While not always overtly sexual in nature, the activities and relationships within a BDSM context are almost always eroticized by the participants in some fashion. Many of these practices fall outside of commonly held social norms regarding sexuality and human relationships. The bear community. A part of the queer community composed of queer men similar in looks and interests, most of them big, hairy, friendly, and affectionate. The community aims to provide spaces where one feels wanted, desired, and liked. It nourishes and values an individual's process of making friends and learning self-care and self-love through the unity of support of the community. Bears, cubs, otters, wolves, chasers, admirers, and other wildlife compare what has come to be known as the Brotherhood of Bears and or the bear community. See also Ursula. I love that so much. Bigender, having two genders exhibiting cultural characteristics of masculine and feminine roles. Biphobia, it says see monosexism, so I guess we'll get to that point. As a staff, we've been intentionally moving away from using words like transphobic and homophobic and biphobic because they inaccurately describe systems of oppression as irrational fears. Also, for some people, phobias are a very distressing part of their lived experience, and co-opting this language can be disrespectful to their experiences and perpetuates ableism. Okay, so then what are we supposed to say? Plus, I also feel like in some cases it's not a phobia. It's not a fear. It's a hate. Like, so I guess that's why it's like better to say things like anti-trans and anti-queer and things like that. Maybe? I don't know. Okay. Bisexual, a person whose primary sexual and affectional orientation is toward people of the same and other genders or towards people regardless of their gender. Some people may use bisexual and pansexual interchangeably. And then we have black, spelled with a Q, and black queer. Folks of black African descent and or from African diaspora who recognize their queerness, LGBTQIA identity as a salient identity attached to their blackness and vice versa. Anti does sound better. Yeah, I think so. Body image. How a person feels, acts, and thinks about their body. Attitudes about our own body and bodies in general are shaped by our communities, families, cultures, media, and our own perceptions. Body policing. Any behavior which indirectly or directly, intentionally or unintentionally attempts to correct or control a person's actions regarding their own physical body, frequently with regards to gender expression or size. This is the one that makes my friend mad. And I really want to make a book report explaining to him how this actually works, but I think he's just going to continue to be too ignorant to listen. Anyways, next definition is for cisgender. A gender identity or performance in a gender role that society deems to match the person's assigned sex at birth. The prefix cis means, and spelled CIS, means on this side of or not across, a term used to highlight the privilege of people who are not transgender. And I think it is important to spell it, because when me and my friend were having one of our arguments about it, he spelled it like a cyst, like CYST, like it was a cyst on you. And I'm like, is that what you think we're calling you? Like you're a cyst? Like if that's what you think, like, may I say this to him, but because I was really fucking mad at him in the moment, but like I could understand how that could be disturbing if you think that's what the definition is, but like also that's not that's not it. And I've tried to explain to him so many times that all it is like, it's like a fucking adjective. It's describing your gender. It's like because he had a eucalyptus tree in his front yard, and I was like, it's like describing that tree. I'm just describing your gender. That's all it is. It's not a slur. Well, I think it is. I'm like, oh my god, okay. Okay. Cissexism and genderism is the pervasive system of discrimination and exclusion founded on the belief that there are and should be only two genders, and that one's gender or most aspects of it are inevitably tied to assigned sex. This system oppresses people whose gender and or gender expression falls outside of cis-normative constructs. With cissexism, cisgender people are the dominant group, and trans/gender nonconforming people are the oppressed group. Okay, coming out. Coming out is the process of voluntarily sharing one's sexual orientation and or gender identity with others. This process is unique for each individual, and there is no right or wrong way to come out. The term coming out has also been broadened to include other pieces of potentially stigmatized personal information. Terms also used that correlate with this action are being out, which means not concealing one's sexual orientation or gender identity, and outing, a term used for making public the sexual orientation or gender identity of another who would prefer to keep this information secret. For support on coming out, please see the Coming Out Resource Guide, which I have no idea where you would find that. Okay, so this is something that I wasn't sure about. So this definition is cross-dresser, or CD, a word to describe a person who dresses at least partially as a member of a gender other than their assigned sex, carries no implication of sexual orientation, has replaced transvestite. Okay, so that's what I was curious about the other night when the John guy was in here, who likes the tights and the hose, you know. He used crossdresser, and I didn't say it out loud because I didn't know if that was an appropriate term or not. But according to this, it is. But again, things are always evolving and changing. So something that maybe once was okay may not be now. But according to this, it's on the list, so it's okay. Culture. A learned set of values, beliefs, customs, norms, and perceptions shared by a group of people that provide a general design for living and patterns for interpreting life. Culture is those deep, common, unstated, learned experiences which members of a given culture share, which they communicate without knowing, and which form the backdrop against which all other events are judged. Cultural humility. An approach to engagement across differences that acknowledges systems of oppression and embodies the following key practices. 1. A lifelong commitment to self-evaluation and self-partnerships with One, a lifelong commitment to self-evaluation and self-critique. 2, a desire to fix power imbalances where none ought to exist. And 3, aspiring to develop partnerships with people and groups who advocate for others on a systemic level. I'm friends with a cross-dresser, and that's the term he uses. Is it? Okay, cool. That's good to know. Demisexual. Demisexuality is a sexual orientation in which someone feels sexual attraction only to people with whom they have an emotional bond. Most demisexuals feel sexual attraction rarely compared to the general population, and some have little to no interest in sexual activity. Demisexuals are considered to be on the asexual spectrum. Disability, and then it's got it like dis in parentheses ability, and then also dis slash ability. A social construct that identifies any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity in the manner or within the range considered typical for a human being given environments that are constructed for and by the dominant or typical person. Okay, I think we're just going to go through one more page, and then we'll do the rest tomorrow, or we'll do some more tomorrow. I just know that if you like do too much of this at once, it can just start sounding like the teacher from Charlie Brown, and it's like wah, 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 wah. Okay. Drag king, a person, often a woman, who appears as a man, generally in reference to an act or performance. This has no implication regarding gender identity. Drag queen, a person, often a man, who appears as a woman, generally in reference to an act or performance. This has no implications regarding gender identity. Laptop unalived. I'm back on my phone. Oh shit, I'm sorry, Alicia. Well, like I was saying, I'm going to post this on YouTube, so you can always go back and watch it later if you missed something. Ethnicity. A social construct that divides people into smaller social groups based on characteristics such as shared sense of group membership, values, behavioral patterns, language, political and economic interests, history, and ancestral geographical base. It was quick. Okay. Femme. Historically used as in the lesbian community, it is being increasingly used by other LGBTQIA people to describe gender expressions that reclaim and disrupt traditional constructs of femininity. I love that. Let's disrupt everything. Gay, a sexual and affectional orientation toward people of the same gender. Gender, a social construct used to classify a person as a man, woman, or some other identity, fundamentally different from the sex one is assigned at birth. Gender expansive, an umbrella term used for individuals who broaden their own culture's commonly held definitions of gender, including expectations for its expression, identities, roles, and or other perceived gender norms. Gender expansive individuals include those who identify as transgender, as well as anyone else whose gender is in some way is seen to be broadening the surrounding society's notion of gender. Sorry, that was a mouthful. Gender expression, how one expresses oneself in terms of dress and or behaviors. Society and people that make up society characterize these expressions as masculine, feminine, or androgynous. Individuals may embody their gender in a multitude of ways and have terms beyond these to name their gender expressions. Gender fluid. It can be spelled separately or together as one word. A person whose gender identification and presentation shifts, whether within or outside of societal gender-based expectations, being fluid in motion between two or more genders. Gender identity. A sense of oneself as trans, genderqueer, woman, man, or some other identity, which may or may not correspond with the sex and gender one is assigned at birth. Genderism and cissexism. This is the belief that there are and should be only two genders, and that one's gender or more aspects of it are inevitably tied to assigned sex. In a genderist or cissexist construct, cisgender people are the dominant agent or group, and transgender non-conforming people are the oppressed target group. Okay, this is the last one. Gender outlaw. I have not heard this before. A person who refuses to be defined by conventional definitions of male and female. Apparently there's a book or an article called Gender Outlaw by Kate Bornstein. We might have to find that later. Okay. Yeah. So something else got cut off, and then it's like finished up here. So I don't know what that is, but we're getting the gist of things, though, I think. There must have just been another terminology in here that got cut off. So I don't think we're missing like part of a definition. I think we're just missing like what that word was. So sorry. This is very enlightening. I know. I'm like, this is what this is bringing up for me. Reading about like gender fluid and gender identity and gender expression just makes it like I'm imagining a warm and fuzzy place where everybody is just who they are. And then I'm reminded that like for some reason these assholes think that there's something wrong with this. And it's like, what's wrong with it? It's not bothering anybody. You know, like just why can't people just be who they are? I don't know. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to start with the next page. We'll probably break this into a couple more days. Just because even for me, when I'm reading too long, I start sounding like wah-wah to myself too. So once we're done with all of this, I'll put it all in Discord together when we're done with the whole packet. Liz, I still need to figure out Discord for you. I don't know what's going on with that. That's so fucking weird. It's so weird and infuriating. So what do you guys think? Any questions, comments, concerns? You're welcome. Interesting. Sorry, I'm just looking at the top fans thing. I sent you a message. Okay, I'll check it out. I will check it out. Okay, well, I'm going to log off for now. We'll come back between 5 and 6 for a question game. And I still need to schedule I still have those spicy questions. We're going to have to do... They might even be too spicy for YouTube, so we might have to do a special favorited edition sometime. I'll schedule that. I'm not sure when, but we'll put it on the list of things to do. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Everybody be safe out there.